Hello. If you came from part one on Ricochet's channel, welcome back. I'm here with Ricochet. How you doing, Ricochet?
Hello, it's me, Ricochet.
All right, and we got some questions. So I wrote down the group of questions that we're going to be talking about in this video, and then Ricochet did a whole different group in his video, so go check out his. It's not a mirror of the same video being uploaded on two different channels. This is part two, so you check out part one if you haven't seen it on Ricochet's channel. Part two will be here with more questions, but the same amount of questions. I think I actually have one more question, but they're kind of one of them is kind of the same as the other. But anyway, one of them leads in the other. So I got questions here. Ricochet also has them. So I'll ask the first one, and yeah, we'll just talk about that and move on like that, kind of sort of like conversation type video. All right. So first question. Thoughts on AQW Infinity? Kind of a hot topic recently, or for the past, 5 years now. When do you think it will release? And if you had to guess, will it be before or after Grand Theft Auto 6? You can comment on that down below as well. Leave your opinions in the comments. I have a take on this. So Ricochet, go first on it, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, any of my really long-time viewers know exactly what I'm going to say. And I'm going to say it will release after GTA 6, and it'll probably release maybe the latter end of this decade, 2028.
What are you qualifying as release? Like out of beta, out of alpha, playable?
Official. I'd say not just the beta or alpha, official release.
Yeah.
I think beta or alpha we could expect in the next 2 years. But the official, yeah, it's gonna be a while. I mean, they admitted it themselves. Didn't they say 2020X in their design notes or something?
Remember the Steam page said 2023 on it?
Oh my days, bro. We're in 2024 now. Anyway, so I mean, a lot of people who know me for a long while and that they've seen any of my rants on AQ2D or AQW Infinity, as it's called now. At one point, I called it a complete sham. I genuinely believed it just didn't exist, and it was this fairy tale, the Tooth Fairy. But I think it exists now. It's just really, really slow production.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what you think, but
so
I'm not very optimistic.
Yeah, if we're going by actual full release out of beta, it definitely post GTA 6, definitely, because that's almost certainly coming out at the end of next year. I mean, there's rumors about a delay about that yesterday, but those rumors seem to be false, and I think they will push it out whether it's ready or not at the end of next year. So seeing AQ Infinity before that, definitely not full release. We might see it in an alpha state. Hopefully we'll see it in a playable alpha state before the end of next year. I would hope, maybe. But yeah, I definitely not playable. You can ask the follow-up on that.
Okay, and the follow-up is, do you think the downgrade in looks will hurt Infinity, or will people take that hit for the better FPS? Oh, can I actually add one more thing? I actually wasn't I know obviously this is going to have 60 FPS. That's what they said in design notes and stuff. But will there actually be a visual downgrade, or is it just new art?
Well, if you want the technical thing, the current game uses vector graphics, which scaled almost to infinity because of the way they are. But it also makes it really heavy to render. That's why it runs so slowly. And also modern Unity doesn't really handle vector. I don't understand this part myself because I'm not a game. I don't work with game engines or anything, but apparently the Unity doesn't handle vector images or graphics very well. That's a Flash browser thing, and it doesn't make sense to make it in the same art style with the vector graphics. That's why some of the art is very simple, and they can't really do gradients that much on AQ World stuff because it uses a very specific type of art. Now that art is changing over into basically what is a PNG. It's a rasterized image. So it's not going to be vector, and if they don't set it at a high base resolution, it's going to look bad, which they haven't. The base resolution they've been using is I don't even know, it's 1080p or something. It looks really bad on a modern 1440p or 4K display even right now. And they haven't been using any. It looks really bad. So, and it's going to look even worse as time goes on if they're not using a good base, because they're never going to update it, because of course they're not. They're doing all the conversions now. They're not going to reconvert everything again to make it 8K or something in the future. They're not. They might AI upscale it or something, but I highly doubt that, and that would probably look terrible. So it will look a bit worse.
So I think, in my opinion, I would definitely trade 60 FPS for like slightly worse graphics. I mean, if you play any sort of PC game, you'll know like most of you'll probably be going to settings, and if you don't have like a good enough graphics card, you probably drop all your settings to like minimum to get like 60 FPS. But I think the biggest issue might be like art clashes, like art style. Like, you know how we've got a pretty like set art style for like the AQW avatar and everyone's users and stuff.
Yeah.
With all the new monsters, maps, and whatever they're going to create for Infinity, if that's not super consistent with what we already have in AQW, it could look really out of place. It could look like really weird and messed up.
Yeah, the balancing act is the AQWorld's art style is something that's a task that's already being pushed to its limits. What we currently have, and yeah, with the new game engine, it seems like it's gonna be a challenge, a very big challenge. Personally, I think the downgrade will hurt it quite a bit. If I had to answer this, I think that the better FPS is going to make up for a lot of it for gameplay. Like having better gameplay in a game is a good thing, surprisingly. So that's going to help quite a bit. And like the new mechanics and stuff they're adding along with that frame rate, it's going to help quite a bit. Having stuff like the actual casting with spell, the impact is where the damage actually happens and not just off the cast. Like just the feeling of something like that is going to help the game so much. Feel like an actual game and less like a browser game that is now. Not that a browser game isn't a game, but you know what I'm saying. So
yeah.
I think overall it will be better off, but yeah, I do think the downgrade in visuals, I think it's gonna be jarring for anyone coming back to it, and like it's gonna be like one of those cases like you remember like playing an old game, and you're like, oh wow, that game looked really good when I played it when I was a kid, and then you go back and play it now and you're like, wow, that looks really bad. It might be the opposite of that. When you go back and play AQ Worlds, you're like, wow, that looks really good. Then you go and play AQ Infinity and you're like, wow, this looks really not, it doesn't look how I remembered it. Actually looked a lot better. So you might get that situation, but I feel like if they find some kind of shader or some kind of like, I don't know, they could probably do something to make the game look better, and I hope they do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one aspect of why it will be so good even now is like, sure, it sucks that our FPS is like 15, but just like the way it looks and the art style and everything, it's just so nostalgic. It doesn't try and compete with modern games for like realism or anything. It just looks really nice, I think. And that is one thing that you have to give them credit for, no matter all the mistakes AE have made over the years. One thing you could say is like 10 out of 10 in my opinion is just the art style, the graphics, the everything. And you know, that's why it's basically a fashion game at this point. People like more play it for like the cosmetics and so on, rather than to grind the storyline or grind classes.
Yeah, they really lucked out going with all the vector graphics of the game that scale, right? Because if they didn't, the game would be like 240p or something. And
yeah, exactly.
But you can play AQ Worlds on a 4K monitor and it looks fine because, well, I mean, it lags, but other than the frame rate, it looks fine, right? Like, and it would still like it would scale up even higher than that in the future. So, kind of, they got lucky with that. To be honest, the game would probably be dead if like actually servers turned off if that wasn't the case.
Yeah, true.
All right, next question. What is one change you'd make, even if it was very unreasonable or out of a scope, to Eventual Quest Worlds? So you can go with first one.
I've got like one obvious answer for this, and that is if it was always 60 FPS, bro. Like I would never turn off my animations again if we can consistently have 60 FPS. And or even like, I know that's like really unrealistic, but the more slightly realistic thing, or maybe it's not, is if they could somehow bring your graphics card into it so that they could in any way run 60 FPS. Because right now it only uses your CPU, right? So in my opinion, if they could change that, that would be cool. But if that doesn't count, then I would say the only other change I would really like for it to be made is um
It's kind of hard one because there's a lot of things. There's a
yeah,
lot
there's
of
like a
things
ton of
they could.
things.
You ever play? Have you ever played Mario Paper Mario?
Nope. Wait, is it like Mario Maker?
No, it's like
Like the one.
it's a Mario like RPG game, sort
Okay,
of.
no, I've not played it.
Well, in that game, there'll be maps where they're 2D, but you can go up, you can go into the map. There's like a 3D sort of element to it. This might not be Paper Mario. It might be a different Mario game. Anyway, you can go into the map. So it's kind of like a 3D sort of, you can, it's not just left and right. There's also forward and you can go into the map. The map's like got a 3D perspective to it. They added that to maps
Okay, that's cool.
in a way.
Oh, I thought of my thing.
They kind of do that sort of, but it's just it's flat. It's not actually perspective based because it's, but they should be doing that with the AQ Infinity. It's probably out of their scope of. I imagine that takes a lot more time than just making a 2D map, but it definitely does. But if they're doing stuff like that, that'd be really cool. And they can like hide stuff, do secrets. Like it would be way better. Yeah, if imagine if your house was like that too. Ooh. Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
They could do it.
Like, I actually have one that's pretty realistic. Like this one, like AE, if you're listening, bro, like this you could actually fix. The AQW wiki inside the game is so bad. Like, you know how you can click on like a
Yeah,
quest and
never
click on the
works.
wiki?
Never works.
Like 90% of the time, it'll just be like, yeah, we got some error. You can't really check. Like, why on earth do I have to have like a separate window on Chrome, like searching up the wiki with like 20 tabs on, when you could do a slightly better job at integrating the wiki into the game? Like, that's an actual realistic change they could do, and maybe they don't have it high on their priority list, but please make high on your priority list, bro. Low key, I'd be out of a job if people use the wiki more often, and they definitely would use the wiki more often if it was just integrated better. But it's really not right now. It's kind of useless.
Yeah, I've been playing this game, The First Ascendant, and they're a similar situation to AQ Worlds, where if they didn't have a wiki, like you'd be lost and no one would know what to do, and everyone would just it'd be like Google Simulator. So they put one in the game. You hit the map button in the game, and there's an information tab. You click there, you can search on it. So anything, if you're looking like I need to farm like this resource, you search it, and it's like it spawns on this map, this map, this map. And you can click on it, and you double click it, and it takes you to the map, and then you're there farming it. It's really good. It's like an in-game wiki. Yeah, having something like that would be very good for AQ Worlds. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they have to realize how important their wiki is to the game. Like any player in AQW who hasn't touched the wiki before is like level 1, or they just have never played. Like, how can you not touch the wiki in the whole of AQW?
That's why everyone's in Yolgar. They don't know what the wiki is, so they got lost and they just returned to Battle.
They played 13 Lords of Chaos, didn't know how to use the wiki or that it even existed, went to Yolgar for the rest of their lives.
It was stuck in the game. All right, next one.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask this one.
Yep.
If AQW had 40k people playing it, which
concurrently,
is Overwatch 2 on Steam, like right now, like it did at its peak, what do you think the dev or the community would be like?
Yeah, so I asked this question. Well, it's one of my questions, so I'll go first on this one. I think that if overnight, like tomorrow, we wake up and the servers are on fire, Artix is frantically adding more, the game is super popular, I don't know, Mr. Beast made a video about it or something. He uploaded a main channel, it's got 100 million views. So I think the game would be. I think the Reddit for the game would explode, and there would be a lot of people complaining about a lot of things very, very quickly. I think the devs would have to like lock down a bunch of things. I think their Discord would have to be locked down. By the way, if you go on their Discord, they have next to no moderation in there as it is. In the official AQ Worlds Discord, that place is anyway. They don't like me there very much. Anyway, well, a couple people actually. There's like 3 people that don't, and they post a lot. Anyway,
it'd be like that, bro. I'm on it, and like, I don't want to get into this whole thing too much, but like, When I first went on it, like, I was like, damn, people don't like me. But like after a year of interacting, those people like straight up disappeared. Like their usernames don't exist now. So it's like I don't know how they just like fucking evaporated at my presence. But there's still obviously gonna be some people that don't like me and probably don't like you. But
Yeah, I get mentioned on there, and I search my name to see the mentions, and I just see like
it's never anything good.
300,000
It's just
never-ending like posts about. Yeah, it's just
yeah,
it's just, I don't know. I I
yeah.
think uh I think that if they had 40,000 people play right now, they might have the funds all of a sudden to hire some more devs to work on AQ Infinity. Maybe, maybe just a thought. I don't know why I really
Yeah, I
asked this
mean,
question. I don't know what kind of
no,
answers
no,
I'm
yeah, I
looking
think if
for,
the
but
game exploded, it would be like super different, right? And I feel like um it wouldn't be what's the word sustainable, right? It would quickly fall off very soon. But let's say theoretically it never fell off in the first place, and the 40,000 people from before just never stopped playing. I think we'd be in a very different place because one, AE would have the funds to like fund way more of Arctic's shenanigans, making like Nintendo 64 games
yeah,
like
imagine what
sponsored or
Artix would be
something.
doing.
Like yeah, like genuinely, I don't know what he's thinking. Like, is he still doing Dungeons and Doom Nights? Like,
Imagine what
is anyone
Artix would be
playing that?
doing if he had if there was still if he had the funds from 40,000 people still playing AQ Worlds. Imagine what he would be doing right now. Just about like it's you can't even think of it. It's probably something unfathomable. Like he'd be building a rocket ship or something. Like who knows what Artix would be doing if if he still had. But
Dude,
think
we
about
try
this.
and be like Elon Musk.
Think of how
Sorry, go
good,
on.
how many like talented artists would be attracted to AQ Worlds, considering they take in like community art.
Oh,
If
absolutely.
over
Grabbing
that,
R34 would
I'm
be insane.
like yeah, I'm not saying that like the artists we have aren't great right now, but like imagine the amount of artists to be attracted to AQ Worlds. Well, not just the fan art stuff, like the official art that gets put in the game, right? Like if you make AQ
Oh
Worlds
yeah,
art
yeah.
and you post it on Twitter and you tag Alina, Alina will be like, "Hey, you want to add that to the game?" Like it'll be in the game like next week if you're actually posting good art. So imagine there was like a massive community of people that were making AQ Worlds art. That it's kind of fun to think about. That would be
Hmm.
really
The
cool.
only downside I'd see of the whole of it being bigger, and it's like the only downside I can think of is it'd feel a bit the connection between the devs and the player base would feel a bit less personal because there's so many of us and it feels like talking to a massive crowd. Whereas nowadays, if you're on Twitter, like Alina's interacting with the same five players again and again. You know what I mean? Like we're just tiny player base now.
Yeah, I
Like
remember.
there's no chance like Artix would ever come into one of my videos if the game was still insanely big. But now it's like 10 people and I'm one of the 10 people, so might as well.
Yeah, I remember when the community was larger. Yeah, there's kind of a chart with the like I'm doing a hand thing here, but like the less players, the more the interaction goes up. Like there's it's like a graph you could see. So yeah, it definitely it was less back when. I mean, they always were pretty high interactive compared to like any other dev, like high interaction. I mean, devs these days are more in the interactive side in most games that
Yeah,
I.
true, true.
But AE was kind of ahead of the curve on that one quite a bit, even a long time ago. Even if it has increased more as time's gone. All right, so a lot. You want to move on to the last one?
Yeah, sure.
Last question here.
If you could have one brand or character or anything collab officially with AQW, what would you want?
All right, you go
You
first
can
on
go
this.
first on this. Okay,
Wait,
I'll go first, sure.
yeah, I went first
Because I
last
think you
time.
went first on the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, the only official collab I can remember is like the recent one is with Charlie, Moist Critical, right? He was in the game and he actually played it on stream as well,
Oh, they've done the
which was kind
bands
of
and stuff too.
crazy.
They've
Oh
done
yeah,
a
the
bunch of
bands,
bands, yeah.
true.
They've done Kimberly,
Like and
what's his
Breaking
name?
Benjamin.
Yeah, Benjamin, Alice in
Yeah,
Chains.
true,
But did they
true.
do Alice in Chains? Am I making that up?
No, they definitely did that. They definitely did that.
They did what's the Voltaire was one.
Yep, yep.
Yep. So they've been doing quite a few.
They've done so many unofficial ones though. I was gonna say I hope they do like an official Valorant one. Then I just remembered the like skins they made from Valorant, which were completely unofficial. Or like I was gonna say, imagine they did Pokemon. Then I remembered they've got so much unofficial Pokemon stuff that like that kind of stuff would never happen. But it's like forget the realisticness. I think if I had to pick one, I would say maybe like, yeah, I'd just say Valorant because I'm biased obviously because I play it a ton. And I was tempted to say Pokemon. The only reason I didn't is because we already have almost a Pokemon collab. We have Master of Moglins, which is essentially like if there was ever a Pokemon Master class, like that's what it would look like. You just control Moglins or something. And yeah. So I feel like we've gone too close to Pokemon collab to suggest that. But Valorant would be kind of cool. And yeah.
Pokemon would actually be sweet if the official one. But I feel like there's so many limitations on the game. Like you couldn't do like if you try to do like Pokemon sound effects and stuff, like it just wouldn't work because it's a Flash game. It's like no one plays with the audio on anyway. No one would discover that they even did that 10 years later. You guys know that there's actually sound effects of the Pokemon pets that they added 10 years ago. I just figured that out today. Wow. So I think if I had to pick an official one, I thought about this. I swear I thought about this answer before you said it. I'm going to go with another Riot game here with a League of Legends.
League of Legends.
I think there's a lot of crossover between those between AQ Worlds and League of Legends players from my time spent in the AQ Worlds community. I think there's a lot of crossover between that already. So I feel like a lot of people like a lot of those characters getting their own skin or like their own outfits and stuff in AQ Worlds. I think that worked really well. You got the Arcane show code up soon. I think that work well timing wise on that as well. With it being, I think that would be like if you could have a dream like a good for the game collab. I think Riot and League would definitely be up there on the list.
I think that'd actually be a pretty good collab. I agree. Probably more realistic than the Valorant one, and it would work a bit better. And like you said, I think the player base is more of a overlap between the two player bases. And the thing is, they've already. I mean, I want to know, what do you think of all the unofficial collabs where they've like just ripped off other games or other animes? Like, I'm pretty sure they've already ripped off some League of Legends stuff or Arcane.
I think it's funny they've never been DMCA'd before for any of it. I think that's really funny.
I mean, that's the benefit of being such a tiny dead game at this point. Like, no one's gonna DMCA you, bro. You're good to go.
Some of it is so blatant.
Everything.
Like the
They could literally make a Pikachu class called Pikachu, and you look straight up like the Pikachu PNG. Someone wouldn't even know.
They probably could do that, and it would just stay under the radar for so long. Like they'd never get a cease and desist. If I had to give a second answer for the collab thing, Overwatch. I think those characters are so good, and they would work very well in the game. All the Overwatch stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean Overwatch characters. I have to say, like, in terms of characters or roster in a game, there's no other game that has such like an iconic roster like that Overwatch does. Like, these characters will like remain immortal forever. Well, not forever, but like super long, even if their game is a bit dead right now. Like,
yeah,
Widowmaker, and so many other, Tracer, all these iconic characters.
Yeah, the thing about Overwatch is like even if Overwatch like they turn off the servers and the game is dead for like 10 years, like 10 years from now they came out and they're like, hey, here's an Overwatch animated TV show. People would be lining up to watch it. Even
exactly.
It would do insane. I think that would work well. It's actually surprising with all the unofficial stuff. There is no Overwatch stuff in AQ Worlds. There's not a single.
Might be like one reference.
There's an armor that has like a what's that even put in the game that Despero made? There's one that has like a tracer sort of thing on the chest, but it's not even close. It's not close. The rest of the armor isn't even close enough for it to like it'd be like the one reference of the tracer thing.
Fair enough.
Dude, wait, do you think there's anything that's Overwatch related in the game?
No, I just kind of vaguely remembered like something. I guess it must have been another game. Maybe it was League. But like, there's so many, references to different animes, different games. Like, and at this point they could have done anything, and I'd believe you. But yeah, I guess they haven't done anything really Overwatch related yet.
No,
which could be an opportunity, but it's up to them.
They should. Anyway, I think stuff like that would always be good for the Halloween updates too.
Yeah, for sure. Like, part of like Overwatch's like popularity, like even if you haven't played it much, you know the characters thanks to 3D artists online. To be honest, like they're really carrying the Overwatch game on their back right now.
Yeah, you can't go far on the internet without seeing some Overwatch.
Exactly. Anyways, I think that's the question mainly done.
Yeah, I think that's all. And we're about 25 minutes of this video, so that's good. Good spot. But then, if anyone in the comment section of the video has any Overwatch references that are in AQ Worlds, let me know, because I know of zero and would like to see them. Anyway, so that was me and Ricochet, and that is all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Like I said at the beginning, if you haven't seen Ricochet's part, check that out, part 1 on his channel. And yeah, subscribe, all that stuff. See you next one.
Subscribe and like the video right now. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.